Most of the following recipes use the concept of batch cooking, which really is just a fancier term for meal prep. So setting aside a little bit of time one evening to be set pretty much all week. Breakfast number one would be this protein chocolate batter, which you can add to yogurt bowls, cereal, or smoothie bowls. Grab a mixing bowl and add the following things: light tahini, natural peanut butter, and maple syrup, and give that a quick mix. Then add all the dry ingredients. Vanilla protein powder. You can substitute the protein powder with oat flour or ground flax seeds. Also add some cacao powder and a pinch of salt. Mix it again and then put this into the fridge overnight. Now onto assembling. So I first added some yogurt to my breakfast bowl. Then some of the protein mix. Some frozen raspberries, and some oats. I had that together with some coffee, and that was it. Next up, we're making a batch of these super tasty freezer breakfast burritos. Preheat the oven to 190 degrees Celsius. Either line a baking sheet with parchment paper or lightly grease it with some oil. And then dice up a bunch of potatoes. I kept the skin on because I was feeling lazy, but feel free to peel them beforehand, even though the skin is supposed to be quite healthy, I think. Then transfer the potatoes to a large mixing bowl. Add some olive oil, salt, and spices. I recommend adding paprika, turmeric, black pepper, onion powder, but use whatever you like. Give this a good mix and then transfer everything to the baking sheet, giving the individual chunks as much space as possible. Allow the potatoes to bake until golden brown and crispy. Now grab that same mixing bowl, no need to clean it, and also chop up some green onions. Those will eventually be added to the bowl alongside the roasted potatoes, a can of rinsed black beans or any other bean, some vegan cheese, and some sriracha or some other hot sauce or condiment that you like. Even ketchup would work. These are some small protein tortillas that I found at Edeka the other day. Not sure what makes these high in protein exactly, but they're really nice and soft and easy to fold. Anyway, I added a layer of hummus to the tortilla first, and then a few tablespoons of the filling, plus a bit of spinach. When wrapping them, you basically fold the wrap in half, pulling the filling towards you, tucking in the sides, and then rolling the rest away from you, all the while holding this together with your hands to prevent the wrap from falling apart. At this point, you should also have a non-stick skillet or two preheating in the background, so you can toast this up immediately. This way, the wrap will keep its shape. Allow the wraps to cool down until they're not super hot anymore. They should be somewhere at around room temperature once you start wrapping them in aluminum foil, and then place them into the freezer. Typically, you reheat freezer burritos by using a microwave. I don't own a microwave, and so what I will be doing is using a non-stick skillet that has a fitting lid. I'm basically going to be steaming the wrap while toasting it at the same time. So bring the pan to medium heat, add 1 or 2 wraps, plus a tiny splash of water, and give the wraps about 3 to 5 minutes on each side. This is obviously a little less quick than using the microwave method, but I think it's still pretty convenient. And these are so yummy, by the way. They're really good. Also, this was my first iced latte in what feels like months. So nice. This next recipe is a bit of a wild mix. It combines the idea of Indonesian rice flour porridge, Mexican flan, and cozy pear pie. The heat's still turned off. Add a few tablespoons of rice flour to a medium saucepan. Feel free to add some warming spices and a pinch of salt. Mix. Then pour in the water, simultaneously whisking everything to get rid of any clumps.
Because the worst part of it all is that we're all doing it to each other all the time.
also add some sweetener of choice. I went for a mix of these sweet caramel drops and agave syrup. Turn the heat to medium-high now and bring this up to a simmer whilst mixing continuously, adding some plant milk here and there as it becomes thicker. And then transfer this to a bowl, or if you are planning on taking this with you the next morning, then add the porridge to a heat-proof glass jar with a fitting lid. Allow this to cool down until it's at around room temperature before placing this into the fridge overnight. If you are in a rush, you might want to also add the toppings the night before. For example, yogurt, berries, some nuts, cacao powder. But if you do have a bit of time on your hands, you could also put together this cozy pear pie topping. So to a small skillet over medium heat, I added a teaspoon of vegan butter. Once melted, I added some pear chunks, some cinnamon, and I let everything cook for about 5 minutes, mixing here and there. This is so different to any other type of porridge that I've ever tried, but it's really good. Here's another savory breakfast idea. It's for these really tasty chickpea egg sandwiches. The night before, or whenever you got time to prepare this, mince some garlic. Bring a skillet with some olive oil to medium heat and let the garlic cook for about 2 minutes. Add some fresh spinach, let that wilt down for another 2-ish minutes. Season to taste with some salt and spices and then set the spinach aside. Inside a medium bowl, mix together some chickpea flour, some vinegar, non-dairy milk, salt, and other spices. Optionally, you can add some black salt if you want that eggy flavor. Reheat the skillet that you just used for the spinach and create little pancakes. Add a few heaping tablespoons per pancake to the greased skillet, followed by a few tablespoons of the cooked spinach, and then let these fry for about 2 minutes on each side. So for this to be an overnight recipe, I would just cook the pancakes the night before, place them into the fridge, and then build my sandwich the next day. And so to some toasted bread, I added some hummus, one of the chickpea pancakes, some tomato, sesame seeds, vegan chili mayo. If you would like to do some batch cooking here, double or even triple the amount of ingredients used for the chickpea batter. Cook all these pancakes at once, let them cool down to room temperature, and then freeze them individually. And then whenever you feel like making your sandwich, you can just toast a chickpea pancake for just a few minutes. Last but not least, we have these insanely delicious, healthier oat cookie dough brownies. Line the brownie pan with some wet parchment paper and preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Grab a small blender or a food processor. Add all the dry ingredients: oats, unsweetened cacao powder, flax seeds, cornstarch, salt, and baking powder. Blend until fine. And then transfer this to a large mixing bowl. Now add all the wet ingredients. Some liquid sweetener, I'm using maple syrup. Some vanilla. Actually, I'm using these caramel flavor drops, which at the same time sweeten the batter a bit more. Unsweetened applesauce and vegetable oil. Also a few tablespoons of water. And then mix. And then transfer the batter to the brownie pan. And allow it to bake for around 25 minutes. Let the brownies cool completely. In the meantime, work on the cookie dough. Once again, grab the small blender and first create some oat flour. So I'm just adding oats and salt to the blender and blending that up. Then add a can of rinsed white beans, maple syrup, a little bit of oil, and some non-dairy milk. Also some vanilla. Blend. Last but not least, throw in some chocolate chips if you want, but I don't see why you wouldn't want to. The cookie dough goes on top of the cooled brownie. It's a bit liquidy, but once you let the brownies sit in the fridge overnight, the cookie dough will have firmed up quite a bit, and then you can easily cut it into slices. It's kind of hard to believe that these brownies are somewhat nutritious. They taste so nice. Share these with friends and family or freeze the pieces individually and have them whenever you like.